Swadikap. Good morning, everyone. I am Prashant Narayan, Project Head at Munch Exhibitions, Thailand. On behalf of Munch Exhibitions, I would like to welcome conference moderator, speaker, and attendees. I would like to thank conference partner Increff and all our exhibitors to support Last Mile ASEAN Virtual Edition. Last Mile ASEAN Conference is a platform to give voice to discuss the matters of delivery and fulfillment, logistics, post and parcel for multi-channel retail industry. We are delighted to inform that virtual edition of Last Mile ASEAN will be joined by senior level attendees of industry professionals across globe. Today, we are going to discuss impact of COVID-19 on the post and parcel industry, current market scenarios, latest trends and drivers, and the overall market environment. We have speakers from Content Solution, Singapore Post Group of Companies, Thailand Post, Indochina Post Logistics, Post Indonesia, Increff, and FedEx Express. Today's conference session will be moderated by Mr. Eddie Lee, Regional General Manager, Head of North Asia, Content Solutions, Singapore Post Group of Companies. Now I request Eddie to start the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Prasad. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome joining this Last Mile Asian Conference. It's really my pleasure to be the moderator for this very useful, I think, and excited conference. Today, yes, the topic that we are talking about will be around the impact of COVID-19 to the post and parcel industry. And we are very excited to have speakers from many different countries, from Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Hong Kong, and India joining the conference to share their view. So just start with a little bit of my background, very quick one. So I have had around 20 years in the industry. So today I'm actually heading up the North Asia region of Singapore Post Group Content Solutions, mainly Korea, Japan, and Greater China markets. And the business that we are doing is mainly on cross-border e-commerce. So we have a lot of brands and merchants to ship stuff, from market to markets. And our focus is in Asia Pacific markets. Okay, so why don't I pass the time to the speakers to have a quick intro of themselves. Let's start with Ariya. Ariya, pass to you.
Thank you for giving me the floor. Firstly, I would like to say thank you to the host for inviting Thailand Post to play a part in this very event. My name is Ariya Thongbai, who is responsible for international affairs of Thailand Post with regard to marketing, business development, CS, customer service, operation, and also for business development. And talking about Thailand Post is a company limited under the supervision of Ministry of Digital Economy and Society. It was established on the 14th of August 2003 as a state-owned enterprise, and our shareholder is the Ministry of Finance. In other words, we are still state-owned enterprise company, and the shares of 1,250 million baht are wholly owned by the Ministry of Finance, as I said earlier. And at present, we have around 40,000 members of staff around the country, and we have around 1,200 post office nationwide. When I say 1,200 post office, I mean the office operated by Thailand Post itself. But when we include the licensed post office, the franchise post office, the image points, which are operated by the private sector, there are about 10,000 outlets nationwide. And we have 5 core businesses, including mail service, express and logistic, retail business, financial services business, and international services where I'm from. Thank you.
Hey.
Yeah, Eric, it's your time.
Okay, thank you. So hello everybody, nice to see you. I'm so glad to be here. Just a short introduction about the Indochina Post Logistics. We founded in 2016 actually as a startup company, and we try in the next few time, next 5 years we want to be like a unicorn, and Our service including international air freight and courier express and last mile delivery in local Vietnam. We are also in partnership with some European last mile company like Hermes World Transport and Spedman Express Logistics Scandinavia in North Europe. Indochina Parcel, we have built our brand name, including 5 members, including Indochina Parcel, Vietship LCL CCP, and Mass Cargo on air freight, and also Indochina Lines. Also, we're planning to expand the railway transporting from Vietnam through China to the East Europe. Our local last mile delivery in strategic with the Ahamul. We actually we have the shareholder in Ahamul, and we contribute to 10% of the volume of the last mile delivery volume to Ahamul monthly, and currently we reach average of 1 million parcel local parcel per month for Ahamul. So that's now even the COVID pandemic, but until the first half of this 2021, then the last mile and parcel business in Vietnam is still, I think, going well. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. So Mr. Hertadi, your time.
Okay. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Hertadi. I'm responsible for the strategic planning and business transformation in Post Indonesia. Post Indonesia is a state-owned enterprise. The shareholders belong to government under Ministry of Communication and Information. And Post Indonesia coverage is nationwide, and we have around 3,800 post office with almost 5,000 agents for courier and 70,000 agents for financial service. Our business is coverage for the courier services, logistic services, and financial service, and also property. And due to the postal industry is very competitive in Indonesia, at least listed around 500 courier services in Indonesia. So Indonesia, Post Indonesia is coverage. The service is all of the Indonesia. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Eddie. Back to you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hertadi. Okay, welcome. Okay, so Nitin, over to you.
Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, everyone, for having me here. It's a pleasure being in front of you to share my views. I'm Nitin Tatiwala. I'm Managing Director for Marketing for Products, E-commerce and Solutions for FedEx Express, Asia Pacific, Middle East, India, and Africa. As my company, FedEx, it's a multinational company that offers a wide range of transportation, e-commerce, and business solutions. We are present in more than 220 countries. We are linking more than 99% of the global GDP today, and we have a strong force of 500,000 plus team members around the world who are united with one purple promise, that we make every FedEx experience for our customers outstanding. So that's a short introduction. Back to you, Eddie.
Thank you and welcome, Nitin. Okay, so last one, that's over to Anshuman. Anshuman, over to you.
Thank you, Eddie. Hi, everyone. I am the co-founder of Increff, which stands for Incredible Efficiency. We are a Sequoia-funded B2B enterprise tech company, focusing primarily on making e-commerce operations more efficient, bringing down the cost of your fulfillment, and improving the speed of fulfillment. We work with multiple large brands and retailers in India, Middle East, and UK, and now expanding into Southeast Asia. Just to give you a sense, last 1 week, we processed more than 1 million orders, and 99.99% of those orders were processed within SLA accurately by our customers. So that's our promise to our customers. simple, fast, and accurate operations. Back to you, Eddie.
Thank you, Anshuman. Very clear. So, well, again, welcome all the speakers here. So, yeah, we have a very, very good background now. We have some from postal operations, we have express couriers, and we have some warehouse IT enabler to join this conference. I'm sure that the content is going to be shared will be very, very fruitful to the audience. Okay. All right. So, let's start with our first question. I guess our first question. Yep. So everybody knows, right? With COVID-19, with the pandemic. E-commerce has been accelerated. The adoption of e-commerce has been accelerated. Okay, that means more and more people buying online instead of going to the retail store. Okay, so if you look at two angles, okay, so one is the cross-border trade, so cross-border e-commerce, right? So, so with the pandemic, okay, the cross-border trade has been impacted because of all the lockdowns, the curfew, international trade, less flights, between countries. So can you guys share a little bit, from your market, from your operations, what are the actual impacts, or what were the actual impacts you have been seeing, in the past 1.5 years versus like before COVID? So why don't we start with Mr. Hertadi? Hertadi, over to you. Mr. Hertadi, I think you're mute.
Microphone.
Okay, during the pandemic, actually the number of the parcel from outside, from cross-border, it's only decreased a little. But this is also one problem during the pandemic, is the demand for the customer to buy items from or e-commerce from China is lower than before the pandemic. But now, this year in 2021, the number of the cross-border items is still growing. So I'm sure after during this year, start from this year, will be normal, I think. But Post Indonesia, as an agent of the government, the number of from the cross-border is only depend on the UPU country. So we are not depend on the e-commerce for the cross-border items. I think that's a little short story about the cross-border items from outside Indonesia. I back to you, Eddie.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hertadi. So that means, from Indonesia point of view, you guys are seeing that, the volume will gradually grow, right? Even with the pandemic, yeah. or past. Yeah. Okay, very good, very good. How about you, Eric? How about Vietnam?
I think for the first half from 2020 and for the first half of 2021 this year, the market is still going well, I think. So I would like to share with you some interesting facts. I make a comparison between the before 2020, before the pandemic, and during and after the COVID-19. Yeah. From before, the e-commerce platforms focus on selling high-end products like laptop, TV, phone, and home appliances with high values. But since 2020 and now, we in Vietnam are expanding the market share to sell the cheap product of vegetable like food, like meat, and even the tissues. And that's the first thing. The second one is before we prefer the COD, that is cash on delivery. I think that Vietnam is the most habit of using cash compared to other countries in the region. But now also we trend to use electric money, e-wallet like Momo, ZaloPay, VNPay, and many kind of QR code scanning. And the third one is before the pandemic. In Vietnam, the market is growing very fast. The growth rate year on year is estimated 30 to 35%. And now a little bit slowing down, but the market is now becoming mature. And the users also have more experience of buying online. And e-commerce platforms like Lazada or Shopee, Sendor, and other players also have been monitoring the seller with better records, means improve the quality of the seller, and also to better the customer experience online. Yes, and the fourth, number 4 is before the last mile parcel delivery, the player in the market, including the VN Post or Viettel Post or GSN and AHA Move, but now including more and more like Indochina Post, a newcomer, and so with other competitors like Ship Chung, also Gojek. Before is GoViet. Then now change to Gojek. Yeah, as you know, the Gojek from Indonesia, and also Grab from Malaysia, and many more. That means that the market is still having room for players to show up and a chance for development. And before the pandemic, the average cost per parcel delivery in intercity between the city is from beginning is high. Let's say between Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi is a delivery cost average of $3 per small parcel, and going down to average around more or less $2 USD per parcel. But now because of the pandemic of the COVID, I have found interesting thing that then the cost is rising again, is increasing for the time being, because of lacking of the manpower, and another thing is because of the lockdown. Then the cost everything in Vietnam is now going rise. And the last one is before the half of online seller is Facebook. Facebook is very popular in Vietnam. If like Indonesia is more with other apps besides Facebook, but in Vietnam the Facebook is more popular with more than 60 million users. Vietnam population is 90 million people. But that is before the pandemic. But now, because of I can say that currently, because of serious affection of the COVID and the online Facebook selling, the seem temporarily disappear because of restriction and exhausted economy temporarily. So only seller with strong cash flow can survive. Then with small business, that is very hard to compete. So in some, even the pandemic brings a bad effect for our economy. The parcel and post delivery in Vietnam for the 2020 and the first half of 2021 still is going well. In here in Vietnam still we have a big chance for development, and that is what I have sum up until now. But for the second half of this year, the situation in Vietnam, as you know, right now is becoming worse. Then I just say that we wait and see how is the second half in this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I think one of the key points, from Vietnam, I'm sure that, all the audience will agree that, the potentials of Vietnam is huge, right? I mean,
yes, you're right.
Yes, and out of the 6 major Southeast Asian markets, I think the growth that we are seeing from Vietnam will be very, very promising. Very promising in the next few years.
Yes.
So let's wait and see, and hope all the COVID-19 will be gone one day, right? And then we all can resume our life and continue to grow. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so let's keep to some international express company, the team. So what's your view on that?
So Eddie, international is seeing a bit of different trends as what Eric or Hertadi mentioned. So the transportation industry from an international perspective is going through a prolonged and continued peak season for the last 18 months. The online shopping and shipping volumes are breaking all records. on a month-on-month basis due to the pandemic situation, which is currently there. And this is being driven by two main factors. One being frequent lockdowns and social distancing, which is making the customers move from their normal physical stores to online for their essentials as well as their daily needs, as well as a lot of brick and mortar companies now are planning to go or have already gone from an offline to an online model, where they are migrating their customers, their consumers on to e-commerce. And the third trend that we're seeing is that the customers are not, or the customers are not just looking for domestic markets, but they are expanding their geographies beyond their domestic markets in order to target international customers. And this is where we see that what growth would have come to the international express side 5 years down the line has witnessed in the last 1 year. So we've seen a growth of 5 years coming exactly in a 1 year period, or the last 18 months period, which has caused to this kind of a growth. And that's something that we call it as a prolonged continued peak season for all of us. And this is something which is there to stay and would possibly continue for another 12 to 18 months, even if vaccine rollout happens to be there, because people would be cautious. There would be new variants of the virus which is coming and going. So that's the view that, at least on the international front, we are seeing at this point in time.
Yeah, I'm sure that the e-commerce, the growth of e-commerce will definitely benefit FedEx Express. And if we all look at the stock price of FedEx in the past 2 years, we all know the result, right? Okay, so I think I just skip one country which is very important to a lot of audience, is Thailand. So Ariya, what's the view?
Thank you. And I would say that for international shipments, sending items under the spread of COVID-19 is more challenging and very complicated, I would say. Thailand Post has been facing the difficulties of sending items abroad due to the disruption and cancellation of flights, in particular during the curfew and complete lockdown of the country during the second quarter of last year. And we are also experiencing the incremental costs of line haul for both air transport and also for sea transport. And it's very hard to compete, I would say, whereas our customers need the lower shipping costs for their cross-border items. And when comparing to the pre-COVID-19, I found that the volume for Thailand Post for international shipments has dropped significantly. Comparing the first 2 quarters of this year with the time when there is no COVID-19, in 2019, our outbound volume drops around 29%. And at that time, we could send the items to almost 200 countries, whereas at this moment in time, we can send to only 60 countries or so. We then try to solve this very issue by liaising with our partner to inject our services to their network for carrying mail items for a last mile delivery in the destination countries. I would say that during the lockdowns and curfew, our members of staff have been working continuously as we have the obligations to fulfill, say, sending medical supplies to hospital or to most people most in need. I have to express my thanks to our members of staff for their spirit, as we deem it's our responsibilities as the state-owned enterprise of the company to serve the nation despite the crisis of the pandemic. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Ariya. Yes, I'm sure that for postal operations, it's very, very difficult. I mean, similar to Singapore Post, right? I mean, we are seeing a lot of shipping costs going up, international flights cancel, so that we have hard time to get space to try to lower the cost. Yes, and I truly believe that this will continue. So yeah, so we have to find a way to tackle all this together. I mean, okay, so yeah, so beyond cross-border trades, right? I mean, another aspect that for the e-commerce is definitely on warehouse and fulfillment. So Anshuman, I mean, you are the expert. So over to you and share some of the insight.
So Eddie, I would echo with Nitin in terms of the way e-commerce has grown across every sector. So what I've seen across 100+ customers for us, they have grown e-commerce volume by 4 to 5 times over last 1 year, which is phenomenal. Typically it is 25-30%, and the growth of 4 to 5 times is just phenomenal. But very importantly, when customers are moving from physical stores to e-commerce, their expectation is very fast delivery. So they expect orders to be fulfilled within 1 or 2 days, like the way Amazon does. So you need backend systems which are designed for very fast, efficient delivery and accurate delivery, right? That's where you need technology to back your customer growth, right? So that's where we have helped a lot of brands and retailers in terms of achieving that fast and accurate delivery, and that resulted in exponential growth for them. Okay, and today beauty is that you have so many tech players coming into this space, and you can leverage multiple of them. You don't need a player which is a big box player bringing end-to-end service from first mile to DC to last mile. You basically need players who are expert in each their domain, and then plug in those guys in a SaaS environment and deliver a great service. Yeah, over to you, back to you, Eddie.
Yep, definitely agree, Ashman. So yes, yeah, I think the use of IT enablers platforms and system, the warehouse is very, very critical, especially when your e-commerce order is going to boom, from single country to multiple countries. So yeah, thanks for sharing, Ashman. Okay, so let's jump to another question here. Yeah, so going back to the operations. In COVID-19, we all know that we have a lot of lockdowns in the cities, each countries, right? So how about in your own warehouse and fulfillment centers? Okay, what kind of measures that you guys have been implementing in your operations? Just make sure that your staff are safe. Let's start with Ariya. Ariya, over to you.
Thank you. Before answering the question, I would say that at this time, there has been confirmed cases of COVID-19 of our operating members of staff at mail centers and post offices, and we have to close our operation facilities and suspend the service for a short while. The closure of mail centers and post office, even for a short period of time, resulted in the delays for mail processing for both inbound and outbound shipments. And up to date, delays are to be expected due to reduced workforce. And to answer to your questions, since the beginning of the outbreak of the pandemic, we have so far adjusted our internal process, I would say, to ensure that the items are safe when delivering to our end users. Upon receiving the shipments from the ground handling agent at the airport, we sanitize all mail bags as virus may be stay on the outer bags. And when the mail bags arrive at our mail centers, we sanitize once again the package prior to using automated sorting machines to ensure that postal items are well sorted to the destination post office or last mile delivery. We allow our customers not to sign their signature on our handheld device to avoid the close contact to our delivery man. And we also introduce a so-called wallet at post application where customers don't have to pay cash upon collection of their item. Thank you.
Thank you, Ariya. I'm very sorry for hearing that Thai Post staff, got infected, and hopefully, he or she can recover ASAP. Okay, and so how about Indonesia, Hertadi?
Okay, thank you, Eddie. The situation for this pandemic is really getting worse now, but our post office still working as a critical institution. So we are working almost 100% for our employee. But luckily, the pandemic is worse is only in Jakarta city. So in the others is quite better. The same as Thailand Post. We also sanitize all the parcel and the bag during from the airplane until to the end user. And to minimize the contact with the customer, since almost 2 years ago, we have a plan to transformation for the post. So we develop mobile apps. So this is easy for the customer to pick up, and also we can know which customer as an end user. So this is what we did since 2 years ago, and also up to now we are going to modernize our system. And for the payment also we develop financial mobile service. We call it postpay. So the customer can pay by mobile apps. And one thing, for after the vaccination, all of the delivery men, also all of us, we are using a pin that say I have vaccinated in their uniform. So this is to make sure for the customer or the end user, they contact with us that we are already vaccinated. And all this system is working very well up to now, and we are trying to make sure for the end user or the customer we are contact with us is safety. Okay, I think that's we short about situation up to now about the pandemic situation. I back to you, Eddie. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hertadi. Yes, okay, so Anshuman, I think you guys are the warehouse and fulfillment experts. Over to you, share a bit.
So I think, Eddie, what couple of things we have done uniquely during this period is we have developed a system which can track every single shipment or every single item in the warehouse or DC uniquely. So let's say you have, when you are dealing with e-commerce, you have, let's say 100 pieces of the same item. Today's technology cannot identify which item you are handling. We built a serialization concept which basically tracks every single piece from inwards till it is dispatched from the warehouse and then when it is returned. That gives huge capability to operations team to make very accurate dispatches, and in case something goes wrong, track it back to the individual piece or the person who made a mistake. So it makes the operation very, very efficient and very, very accurate. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, very clear, very clear. All right, so let's move on to the third questions. Okay, so just going back to the post and parcel industry. Okay, just not just on e-commerce, right? Let's take a look at the entire post and parcel industry as a whole, right? So what do you guys foresee? You know, after post COVID-19, what will be the impact that is going to be on the industry as a whole, not just on e-commerce, but on the industry as a whole? So let's start with Nitin. Nitin, over to you.
Thanks, Eddie, for the question. So the trends that we're seeing right now, both in the transportation management as well as the digital transformation, which most of the companies are going through, and even certain things that Anshuman spoke about, are here to stay. Meaning these are not any kind of a quick fixes which the industry is witnessing. These are nothing in terms of just providing a short-term solutions. These solutions are going to be there even post the peak season or the peak shipping season, the way we call it at this point in time. So looking at a long-term view, we are planning ahead, looking at this not just an immediate need, but for a future ready need, and laying the foundation so that our customers in the future are able to capitalize on these changes that are happening in the market. We call this as the new post-COVID era, in which these kinds of trends will continue. We will see more and more digitization. We will see more and more flexibility coming around transportation management. And we will see more and more customers willing to experiment and go international in order to see their growth coming outside their own countries. So this is the trends that at least we foresee in the near future in the market.
Thank you, Nitin, to have an overview from the international market. So how about Thailand, Ariya?
Thank you. I will start by saying that the COVID-19 pandemic is a test, but it's a test for relevance and resilience for the postal sector, because of the border closure and lockdown are likely to happen at any time. I think COVID-19 pandemic has given us a lesson learned. First, we cannot rely on only one network, but we have to seek for other alternatives as a backup. We cannot rely on only one mode of transportation, because when the flights disrupt, we have to find other alternatives like the sea transport or road transport, or even for rail transport, like in the case of China, where the rail transport connects China to European countries. Second, I see that in the post-COVID-19, operators will be working closely in synergies more than before. Between those who may compete each other at this time, maybe in the same sector of the same business, they will join hand more in the form of partnership and alliance to become relevant and stronger. I think cooperation and competition will become co-opetition in the larger scale, I think. And finally, I think that operators will have to invest more on IT and mechanization in their supply chain management to provide customers with more convenience and speed. Delivery options is an easy example for Thailand Post, because items can be delivered to the smart lockers, which can be accessible around the clock, and customers can collect it anytime without any face-to-face contact with our delivery man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ariya. Yeah, so yeah, I guess one of the key takeaway from your speech is, yeah, there should be more cooperations between the logistics company and the postal organization. I think we have more to talk, right, with Thai Post from Singapore Post. Yes, definitely. Okay, so Mr. Hertadi, Indonesia.
Okay, thank you, Eddie. So what happened after post-COVID? The trend during the COVID pandemic, the trend of the e-commerce is going up, and I believe after the COVID or post-COVID, the trend still growing. Based on our research, it's still growing for the e-commerce business. So one thing we have to transform. We only before in 2019 we only depend on the retail market. So now we think to connect to the marketplace. Up to now, there's only 2 marketplaces connected with Post Indonesia. It's Shopee and Tokopedia. There's 2 big marketplace in Indonesia. So we are planning in this year connected to 7 marketplace. So we probably up to now and later for the post-COVID, we believe transaction from the e-commerce will be growing. So we have to catch this opportunity because parcel industry is very tough, and we have to keep sustain as a government entity. So this is what we have to do in this year, even during the pandemic or post-COVID, we think to connect with the marketplace. That's all, Eddie. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, definitely Indonesia's marketplaces are expanding. So well, very glad to hear that you guys are expanding from 2 marketplaces connection to 7. Well, basically, you know, I'm sure that 90% of the consumers are buying from these 7 marketplaces. Yeah, at least, right?
Correct,
yeah.
Eddie. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so Eric, how about you from Vietnam?
Yes, I have seen the situation, yeah, the same like in the Thailand area, explained that the international post and parcel started decreasing. Then almost a player in Vietnam, we are now focusing inside. So we expanding the enhancing more a customer experience for online, for the supermarket, and connecting the I guess say omni channel, but no traditional. Now we are planning to eliminate the traditional market, and we focus, and even backed up by the government, encouraging the customer to go to the modern market because of some elements like quarantine and scanning and easy control for the pandemic, and like a Tiki or Lazada and Shopee and other players, we sell everything. Like I said before, changing from the high-end product and now to even the tissue, even the toothpick, bamboo, and everything online. And that's also the chance for local or a Vietnamese player. Then temporarily, we might forget the international global delivery from now to the end of this year, because we forecast that now we have almost nothing to export because of restriction. And as you see, like in the DSL, because of my office near Saigon Airport, International Airport, and DSL office just today get a notification from the local government that today shut down because of some positive and some very worst case, and temporarily DSL closing down. That's for Vietnam market.
Yeah, just be careful, Eric. I mean,
yeah,
the COVID-19 is like spreading again, so
yes.
Just be careful. Okay. Well, seems like marketplaces are driving the growth in a lot of like Southeast Asian market. So I guess for the next year conference, we may have to invite more marketplaces to come and talk, right? Okay. All right. So okay, so just move back to e-commerce, right? So we talk about post and parcel industry. So move back to e-commerce. I'm sure that you guys agree, with COVID-19, e-commerce has been accelerating and it's not stopping. So what do you guys see after COVID-19? What's going to happen with e-commerce? Okay, so Anshuman, over to you. Share your insight.
So, Eddie, couple of things from my side. So what I've seen is initially there was a lot of pent-up demand when markets open or the deliveries open from e-commerce. But then this has sustained a lot. So the growth of e-commerce is no more going back to pre-COVID numbers. This growth is going to continue. And the reasons I see is one, customers are getting more comfortable buying various types of products or categories. They're comfortable with the kind of delivery and the product they're getting it and the speed they're getting it. So I don't see a reason why even after COVID gets over and we are back to normal, the e-commerce growth or the trend would shift back. So that is going to stay here. Okay, and there are players who are well suited to address these markets or these demands. Especially if I look at, let's say, for example, postal department, right? The amount of reach the postal department has in terms of the PIN codes they serve, the customers they serve, and the reach they have is absolutely phenomenal. Right? They have reached to the most rural places in every geography. So if they have the right technology and the right operations, they are suited to capture a lot of these demand, e-commerce demand. And it's a brilliant opportunity for postal department to kind of switch gears and capture e-commerce and become a full-fledged e-commerce delivery partner to marketplaces. Yeah, but 2-3 things very critical from my perspective or from my view is one thing COVID has taught us is you cannot depend on humans for your operations. In terms of the people will keep moving, or because of restrictions or because of lockdowns and all, you need to hire people or regularly. So you need technology which is completely human, is not dependent on human. It's 100% automated. It's very easy to use. It is right first time, and you can train people in minutes so that you hire a new person and train them and get operational on day one. So I think those things needs to be strengthened at the back end. But from a demand perspective, there is definitely that's going to sustain.
Yep, definitely agree, Anshuman, definitely agree. So what we are seeing, in the past years when e-commerce started to grow, right? So we start with shipping. Most of them are international shipping first, and then later on when a brand or a merchants, they start to grow their volume, they would definitely need a support for warehouse and fulfillment, right? So I definitely agree with you. So I'm sure that, you know, moving along, you know, even after COVID, the e-commerce demand will continue to grow, especially on the warehouse and fulfillment side, because you know, companies are starting to doing big in the e-commerce areas. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So how about you, Nitin, from International Express point of view?
Yeah, so I would echo what Anshuman mentioned regarding the sustenance of e-commerce. So what we see is COVID has helped us to boost e-commerce. What we were seeing as what the growth we would have achieved in 5 years being achieved in 1 year. So this has become the new base, and we don't foresee this dropping down or correcting itself to the pre-COVID level. Rather, it will continue to grow. Because the consumer behavior has changed. People are now more open to buying online. People are more open to buying international. People are finding that buying online is much more economical as well as convenient as comparison to going out into the market and buying as a retail. So this kind of a growth is going to remain. The other factor that comes into picture is the e-commerce penetration. Today, if you were to see e-commerce penetration, it's not to that extent like a mature market like China, where it has expected to reach around 50% as a proportion to the entire retail. In other mature markets, like even if I were to take US, it accounts for only 14%, or Korea, which is closer to our own Asia Pacific region, it's around 26%. Or if I were to take Japan, it's around 22%. So all these markets have still a long way to go. And these, I'm talking about mature markets. If we were to talk about the other European markets or the Southeast Asian markets, there is still an opportunity for us to reach to the level at which probably a China or a US is. And this is where I would say that we will continue to see the growth. E-commerce is here to stay and will continue for at least the next decade, if not more. Back to you, Eddie.
Okay, thank you, Nitin. So yes, so Nitin, just a follow-up question, right? So do you think like FedEx Express growth will be betting on the e-commerce in the next few years?
Definitely. So meaning the way I look at it, we have a separate team altogether, which I'm doing the product development. We have seen tremendous growth in the last 3 to 4 years. We are coming up with a new product called as FedEx International Connect Plus, which will be launched by 1st of September. It is the product which is catering to e-commerce, made for e-commerce. It is going to be something which is going to be much more economical and yet meeting the transit time what the customers are looking for. So you would have a transit time coming from China to US or China to Europe with 1 to 2 days of transit time, but it will be far more economical, far more cheaper in comparison to a normal international priority product that we have as an express. So we are tailor making the product in a manner in order to cater to this industry, which the industry is demanding today. And the points that were pointed out by Ariya or Hertadi, that the line haul costs have gone up, the other cost factors have gone up. So we are taking those into account in terms of how do we make sure that we keep the transit, we keep the reliability the way it is, and yet we make it economical for the end buyer to buy international as well as the sellers to sell international. So that's where we are, and soon you would be seeing a lot of new products that we would be launching in this space.
Thank you, Nitin. So, Mr. Hertadi,
Yes.
Indonesia.
Okay. So now is people really convenience with the e-commerce system, right? So I believe for next, people still shopping with the e-commerce system. So it will be growing and it will be booming because you know Indonesia is a coverage the island country, right? And the gap between island is quite high. So this phenomena for the e-commerce, I'm sure people can buy something with the various product and cheap price, and for the payment is very easy. So I believe this e-commerce we coverage and up to the remote area. So Post Indonesia, which is the coverage to the remote area, we believe we can give a service for the customer with the e-commerce system. They can get the delivery. One of the problem is the delivery during between island. This is one problem we have to think about, how to get the item to the end user with effective cost for us, and also the price can be competitive in the e-commerce system. So because of the e-commerce system, this system can make the concentration is not in Java Island also, but in all of the island in Indonesia. I think that's it, Eddie. Thank you. Back to you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think because of time constraint, let's jump to the last questions. The last question that I'm having. So this is the last question for today. I want to ask the speakers. So, okay, with your company that has been in the industry for a period of time, right? So, what do you think you guys have support the e-commerce and the post and parcel industry or the warehouse industry right now? And if you can share a little bit and how and also educate the audience a bit, what have you been doing to support the industry? So why don't we start with Anshuman?
So Eddie, couple of things we did, very interesting pieces during the COVID. So we basically partnered with all the 3PL warehousing players, and now we are literally like Uber of warehousing. So we are connecting brands and 3PL players using our technology, so that brands can plug in the unused capacity of 3PL. They don't have to pay capex, they don't have to pay upfront huge costs. They are paying for only every piece dispatched from the warehouse, while 3PLs are getting the benefit of higher utilization. At the same time, we provided our technology free of cost for around 6 months to all our brands during the COVID, because they were badly hit in terms of their revenue numbers and profits. So those were the few things we did. And one very interesting thing we did was to partner with our fashion brand like Arvind Group and Aditya Birla Group to basically help them deliver their unused good products which were not selling to the needy people. So we basically started a project around distributing these unused products to the needy people across the country during COVID period, and we distributed more than 25,000 garments. And big thanks to all our fashion brand partners. Yeah, back to you, Eddie.
Thank you, Anshuman. So Nitin, how about you? How about FedEx Express?
So at FedEx, we made service adjustments and we expanded our operations in order to meet the demand that we have witnessed in the last 18 months in order to serve the customers' demand, the pent-up demand that was there, plus the new demand that's we seeing in the market. This is not just what we are seeing right now, but this is here to stay from a long-term future perspective, which we are calling it as a new post-COVID normal. Now, because FedEx owns more than 650 plus aircrafts worldwide, we were able to flex our network to meet this demand. And recently, you might have read that we've added 4 more new flights out of Asia into North America and Europe in order to cater to this heightened demand which we are seeing in the market. These changes are likely to stay. We would see this even coming post-pandemic recovery. In addition to this, we are also taking the advantage of digital channels in order to engage with our customers, because now no more you could meet the customers face to face. So we're using the digital channel. We've also built in digital capabilities around digitizing the entire end-to-end process flow. I'll take just one small example for the end recipient or the consumers. And for them, we have something called as a FedEx Delivery Manager, which allows the customers to be able to pick and choose as to when the delivery needs to be made. So if I'm not at home, I can ask through the app that the delivery could be made to the neighbor's house, or you can leave the shipment to outside the door, or you could reattempt the delivery to the nearest retail counter like a 7-Eleven or the nearest retail counter which is available. So you could customize the delivery basis what the customer or the consignee is looking for. And these are all contactless deliveries that we are enabling in order for being suitable for the market and specifically in the current environment. So these are certain things both from the network perspective, from the digital perspective that we've taken in order for meeting the requirements and meeting the demands of the customers at this point in time.
Yep, I think I think the use of IT, technology is basically a must, even after COVID-19, in the post and parcel industry, definitely, right? And I'm seeing that, both from management, from warehouse perspective, from FedEx, the line haul, shipping perspective, you guys are invest a lot in the technology, just to help to enable consignee shippers to ship it more easily, and also at a much more low cost perspective. Okay, yep. I guess that's all I have for the questions, and I'm already seeing some questions, some Q&A coming up in the group chat. And I just spot one is basically the one that the team just answered. The question is, for the cross-border transactions, were cost-effective available before COVID-19 because of the availability of passenger flights. But during COVID, we have a lot of passenger flights shut down, reduced and rates are higher. So how can we tackle this in the long run as COVID situation may seems to be prolonged? Ariya, if I can pass the question to you from Thai Post perspective, how do you guys tackle that in the long run?
Thank you. It's very difficult to tackle this very issue because we have trying to tackle this issue by using the shuttle flight instead of commercial flight instead. But we don't have big problems to carry all the items at one time. We have to wait for a couple of weeks until the shuttle flight is full with our mail items. So it's very challenging indeed, but we try to solve the problems by, as I said earlier, by liaising with the private companies who have their own flight, maybe FedEx. If you are interested to work closely with Thailand Post in the future, I'm very open for this very issue, because I think we have to share the space with other partners. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. From Singapore Post perspective, we are also very interested in the space of FedEx. If you guys are willing to sell the space to us, right? Okay. Yep. And how about you, Mr. Hertadi, from Indonesia perspective?
Yeah, it's actually it's in the same as Ariya said. This cooperative with FedEx. For us, we are cooperative with DHL. So this is to manage for the cross border, actually to the direction to Europe and to US. We are cooperated with DHL, and this is more efficient and also effective to get the track and trace system in DHL. I think that is a short. I cannot say much because of the case of this not so impacted to Post Indonesia. That's all, Eddie.
Thank you. Okay, I think we have 2 minutes left. I want to jump to a question that is related to warehouse and fulfillment. There's a question about what is the biggest value that the SaaS-based solution can add to the e-commerce fulfillment around SLA, and how the tools help streamline returns. Anshuman, you want to elaborate more
Sure,
to the group here? Yeah, thank you.
So I'll just give an example. So we work with one of the postal departments for a country's postal department, and built a tech which was completely scan-based, and it was completely automated. And for returns, we built a very streamlined process where we pulled return data. It was shown to the operators in terms of why the product has returned, what to expect, images of the product, and you can take photographs, you can take videos, and so basically the tech was customized to help a postal department handle e-commerce parcels in a very, very efficient way. The whole idea was to keep it very, very simple in terms of the flow and user interface. So it was just like Google screen. You will have only one text box where you can scan the barcode and things like that. So made it very simple, very accurate, and designed for 100% reconciliation in terms of forward dispatches and returns and all. I think with new age technology, this is possible. You can deploy technology which can be operated on mobile phones or any other device. They are device agnostic. They can be operated on web. You can be hosted anywhere, deployed within one day. Those are the advantages you get with the new age tech.
Yeah, thank you, Ashman. And yeah, I think the time is already up, and I see there are still a few questions here. I'm sure that for the audience that we cannot answer questions right now, feel free to reach out to the speakers or even myself, and we are more than happy to answer. Okay, and Prasad, over to you.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Hertadi. Thank you, Kunaria. Thank you, Nitin. Thank you, Anshuman, for your time. It's been a pleasure hosting you, everyone. And like we have asked the audience, and we have already answered all the address all the questions. Now our next session